Hulk Hogan really believes this, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what the Hulkster had to say. Look, I'm not the biggest Hulk Hogan fan in the world. I will tell you that right up front, all right, just based off of things that he's done in the past. He's also a consistent liar, right? You got to give him that. The man knows how to lie, or does he? Because he does it quite a bit. But this is not a hate video on Hulk Hogan. Look, he is one of the biggest names in all of pro wrestling. He is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. He's arguably the biggest name in the history of the business. Some have said that he put wrestling on the map, and I think I would agree with that. What he was able to do alongside Vince McMahon in the 1980s, where they literally changed the pro wrestling industry forever. And some could say for the better, some could say for the worst. I recently heard this where, I forget if it's Arn Anderson or Ted DiBiase, but they were talking about how if the territories were still around, if Vince failed at going national or he never attempted to go national, the territory system would die. And I think I would agree, because they made the argument that the industry would change because television was coming and Vince McMahon was really the only one that saw it coming. I believe it was Ted DiBiase. Now look, Hulk Hogan, he's at his ups, he's at his downs, right? He had the big run in the 1980s, early 1990s, but really by 1993, 1994, Hulkamania started to die down a little bit. 95, it was on life support and WCW, although he wasn't necessarily having the greatest feuds in the world, right? With the Giant, the infamous monster truck thing on top of WCW, it was a parking garage on pay-per-view, right? And him feuding with Kevin Sullivan, it was bad. But then Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, they jumped ship from WWE, WCW, and changed the game. And he got another run, this time as a heel, something in which we had not seen on a grand scale at that time. Now, I was still just a kid at this time. I don't really remember the initial 1996 NWO run. And to be honest, I was a WWE kid, right? I was all about Monday Night Raw and Raw is War. So you then transition early 2000s, Hulkamania is back. He's running wild on you, brother, for 2002, 2003-ish. And then he goes on that weird Mr. American run. Does anyone remember what Mr. America was? It was Hulk Hogan in a mask. What are we doing? Now, with all that being said, that leads us to today's video. And the reason that I wanted to cover Hulk Hogan's career is because it ties into this video. He recently spoke about the downfall of WCW while doing an interview with Sports Akita. And during so, which, by the way, he believes WCW died because Turner, AOL, they didn't want wrestling anymore. And I believe that's the case as well. But he was also talking and actually gave a lot of praise to Goldberg. Now look, the two, they have a lot of history together. They made a lot of money together in WCW. Most notably, Goldberg beat Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome in 1998 to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Goldberg's undefeated streak ended at the hands of Kevin Nash after he was attacked with a cattle prod by Scott Hall later that year on pay-per-view. It was in December of that year. That was a pivotal moment in WCW's tenure, right? Its existence. By the mid-98, late 98, the company was already starting to see declines. You just didn't know it. Creative was really, really bad. But a lot of people think that Goldberg's undefeated streak was the nail in the coffin. I disagree with it. But while speaking with Sports Akita, Hulk Hogan did discuss the fall of WCW and the parent company Turner AOL deciding they didn't want wrestling anymore before talking about Goldberg. He said, you could say, well, Goldberg should have never been beat. He was an attraction. From the movie industry to the entertainment industry, a lot of Jewish people were probably upset because this was the first time we ever had a 300-pound T-Rex killer. He was the second coming of Hulk Hogan as far as an attraction went. Hogan noted that he thinks you're an attraction, you have to be booked by a different set of rules. He added, I think Goldberg should have been undefeated. That might have been of the things that would have kept the revenue stream coming in. But decisions were made, and different people were in control of the pie, end quote. Okay. First of all, there's a few things we need to break down here. Was Goldberg an attraction? Of course he was. He was one of their biggest attractions. He was a big, big star, right? But this idea that if he was kept undefeated, that the revenue stream would still be going, dude, they were still making money like no other. They were printing money in 1998. They were printing money in early 99, right? You can go back and you can go through the observers and take away your opinion of Dave Meltzer, but just look at the facts, right? They were still making money. Goldberg was an attraction. He was an attraction in 97. He was an attraction in 98. But all things come to an end. He could not stay undefeated forever, right? People would have got tired of, oh, here comes Goldberg. He comes out. He squashes someone. We move on, right? You look at his tenure as the WCW World Champion and his feud with DDP. DDP, solid worker. Their matches were okay. Right? It took Bret Hart to get good matches out of Goldberg. Goldberg is never going to go in there and put on a 25-minute Broadway. That was not Goldberg. So this idea that he would just have to remain undefeated, I think people would start to resent that. Right? Because you either have a squash match or you have a bad, long match. Goldberg was an attraction. But that doesn't mean that you had to keep him as WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Right? Now, how do you do that? Well, you do a hybrid of that. You keep the man as an attraction, but you don't have him as world champion, right? There's workarounds. You have him lose very, very selectively. That's what you would do. So, I agree with Hogan, but I also disagree with Hogan at the same time. WrestleStar fam. A few news and notes here. First of all, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you are notified every single time we upload new wrestling content here to the channel. Also, if you would like to further support the channel and my family, please consider dropping some money on a membership, subscribing to that. You'll get additional content. There's a bunch of awesome perks out there, including members-only videos, which I highly recommend you go and check out. Also, if you are looking for some sweet pro wrestling merch, down in the description below, I have a link with some 2 sweet promo codes, including free shipping. All that information down in the description below. Thank you so much for changing my life, my family's life, and supporting the channel. And I will see y'all in the next video.